Boom. All right. Should be live, guys. Should be live. Hello, everybody. Okie dokie. All right, let's get this going, man. It's been finally time for me to rank all these films after so long. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting me to do this finally, but I had to wait for Godzilla X Kong to come out, and that way, we can get this good here. So, okay. Also, let's see. I have to put this in. These are gonna be the categories here. So we're gonna do love, like, indifferent. I don't know if I spelled that right. Probably not. Actually, here, let's just go meh. Bis Habab, hey, what's up? The highest order, yo yo yo. Stephen Highland, hello. This would be dislike. GojiFan93, hello. Hate. What should F be? Like, for because I don't know what would be worse than hate, but that's the tier that we have right here. So I don't know if it should be like utter, I don't know. Atomic disaster. I don't know. Disaster. I don't think anything is going to be at F, but who knows? Okay, so these are my categories. Got love, like, meh, dislike, hate. Shouldn't exist, yeah. Okay. Despise. Oh, Penzilla Fan04, despise. Yeah, see, I feel like despise is close to hate though, but that's a good word too. I like that as well. So, GojiFan2001, hello. Okay, guys. Yeah, got some good old Godzilla gaming music going on behind me or in the background. Yeah, Alphabet Soup. Hey, yeah. All right. I think we're good to start. So let's I think let's get this going. I think we should start. Yeah, should we start? Everything's sounding good. You guys can hear me clear. You can hear the music. Visuals are looking good. Just let me know. Making sure everything's looking good here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think let's start. I'll raise the volume a little bit on the music for you guys. So we can do that here. Okay. Atomic Disaster fits the F tier quite well, yeah. Dinobot Kiryu, hey! What's up? I haven't seen your name in the live stream for a while, Dinobot Kiryu. Alright. Turner Jenkins rocking the old school GojiFan logo. There we go. I was wondering where the music was, like, where the music went. So, okay. There won't be spoilers for Godzilla X Kong, right? Because I haven't seen it. Yeah, actually, thank you for reminding me of that. If I get into spoilers, I will warn you. But let me put something here. Please do not put GXK spoilers. That way, hopefully people don't get spoiled. So, okay. Yeah, Alphabet Soup. I will let you know. I will say if I'm about to talk about Godzilla X Kong when we get there, because I'm pretty sure that's here. Yeah, okay. So, okay, Gojimon2000, what's up? Shonen Kaiju, Roy Lopez, hello everybody. All right, let's get going, guys. I think we wasted enough time here. All right, so of course we have the original Godzilla, 1954, and of course I love it. Not just saying because, like, of course, or that I'm worried about people, whatever. No, it's the more and more I watch the film, the more and more I fall in love with it, and the more and more I find new stuff to fall in love with it about. And it is like the quintessential Godzilla movie. I mean, it really well, until we get to a certain other one that we'll get to later. But for now, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, you can't. There's nothing really wrong with the first film, and I don't want to sound like one of those fanboys that are like, oh, you can't touch the original, because no, the original has problems, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man, like you still can't beat it. Okay. Trek Screamer, a big fan of your content for years. Glad to see you've returned to YouTube. Hey man, thanks for the support. Okay. Godzilla raids again. Yeah, Godzilla raids again. I dislike Godzilla's Revenge. Or raids again, not revenge. I think what's gonna be tough about this list is that, it depends on the certain day, I guess. But if you really were to ask me, like, raids again, like, what do you really think about it? I would probably say, like, oh, I hate raids again. But again, hate is a very strong word. And I don't necessarily think that there are any films that I would hate, right? Because I am a fan of the series, and I know that probably some people, after watching this stream, or people who are going to watch it later, they're probably going to be like, you're not a fan because you don't like most of the Showa stuff. But it's like, well, and that's a spoiler, by the way, so you guys know I don't like most of the Showa stuff. But for me, it's I dislike Raids Again because it just was a shoddily put together sequel, and the fight scenes weren't that great. The story was not intriguing. I just so it's dislike, I would say. It's very close to hate, but I'm not gonna be that cruel to it. I mean, there are a few things that are good about it. Anguirus, it was the introduction to Anguirus, which is fantastic, and then it was the first movie to have monsters fight each other, pretty much. Like, it was the first versus film, so you got to give it some credit in terms of pioneering some of the stuff. Otherwise, it's meh. So King Kong versus Godzilla. I love King Kong versus Godzilla 1962. Again, a lot of people, I have a lot of dislikes for the Showa series. There's not a lot of Showa stuff that I do like, and that's not just for Godzilla. That's the genre, that's the kaiju genre as a whole. I'm just not a fan of the Showa era stuff. But King Kong versus Godzilla, for some reason, was just fun. Like, it was just like, if you want a good Showa movie, like, King Kong versus Godzilla is like there, and it's I love the characters, I love the overall plot, I love the fighting in it. Like, it's just fantastic. Those are the, like, it's just such a fun film, and I think also because the movie it doesn't take itself seriously. Like, even the Japanese version, like, it's out to make fun of all the commercialism TV. Like, you guys know the backstory of the metaphors of King Kong versus Godzilla, and it's mocking the movies and TVs of the commercialism of all that stuff. So at the time, and actually could still really work to today's time, really, if you think about it. So but yeah, I love it. And then again, that final battle is just so fun, to me, at least, in my opinion. So, yeah. Alphabet Soup, the Showa era of Gamera is a completely different story for Chris. Yeah, no, the Showa series for Gamera would be all in atomic disaster. Okay, to be fair, the first, 2 Gamera films, I'd say, would be in, dislike. But that's a whole different thing. So, will you be making Gamera or Ultraman tier list next or not? I don't really know. Not sure yet. I know that a lot of people just wanted me to get to this one, but maybe in the future I might, but not sure yet. So, okay, let's move on. Okay, Mothra versus Godzilla. So this is where I'm going to start to get a lot of Showa hate here. I dislike Mothra versus Godzilla. I think it's so overrated. I don't understand why people say that this is one of the pinnacle of Godzilla. I don't understand why. It stems from a few reasons. the fact that I'm not a big fan of Mothra to begin with. And that happened over years. Like my I wouldn't say hatred, but my dislike for Mothra is only because she shoehorned herself into so many different Godzilla films, and she keeps on dying, and it's, I don't know, I've never been that big of a fan of Mothra. Now I will say that my tune will change when we get to the MonsterVerse stuff, but in terms of like Mothra and with the Japanese stuff, I'm just not a fan of her. And so when she's literally half the film, and then Godzilla, for some reason in this film, is a complete and utter doofus. Like, the suit is great. I love the suit. But the he's clumsy, and he gets well, not killed, but he gets defeated by two Mothra larvas. And I've always looked at it as he got defeated by two turds. And I've never liked that. And as a kid, when I watched Mothra vs. Godzilla, I was so angry at the film at the end. I was like, are you kidding me? Godzilla got killed by little Mothra larvas? Like, and that's what started my disdain for Mothra. And the characters I don't really care about. The greedy businessman, it's like, nah, whatever. I've never understood why this film is so popular. I've just never understood with it. But that's just me. So I know I'm gonna get a lot of Showa hate, but that's just, I can't lie. That's what it is. So okay, Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Ghidorah the three-headed monster, I like. It's one of the Showa films that I can watch and be somewhat entertained. Again, introduction of King Ghidorah, though I will say King Ghidorah wasn't really that threatening in this film. To be completely honest, I didn't feel like King Ghidorah was that like major of a foe. They do better in the later films, I feel like, but yeah, Ghidorah the three-headed monster, I feel like, again, liking it more in terms of what it did for the franchise, less in what it actually, like, the film itself. I think the effect that Ghidorah the three-headed monster did for the franchise, introducing this new villain and having like a monster tag team battle, was like a really cool step up in terms of Toho's like special effects and visual movie making magic. You know, I think that's it has a purpose. So that would be my thing with Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Invasion of the Astro Monster, on the other hand, is meh for me. This film, the sci-fi Toho stuff never really gravitated towards me. And I've seen actually a few other Toho films that are like, you know, sci-fi stuff, like the Mysterians and things, and they just never, I think it's like the old retro 60s sci-fi style of things just never really gravitated towards me. I never really fully got attached to that kind of stuff. I'm more of a modern sci-fi style of things. But Invasion of the Astro Monster, you know, being I would consider it a direct sequel to Ghidorah the three-headed monster. I just feel like I mean, I understand the story is I guess better. To me, it just didn't hit those marks. I mean, the characters are memorable. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Nick Adam, you know, fantastic actor, I guess, for what it was, and it was cool, you know, having Akira Takarada with an American actor. That was also a pioneering thing with this film, trying to include, you know, different nationalities of actors, I guess. You know, that was cool. But the final battle, I mean, the monsters are only in the film for like, what, 5 minutes, and the final battle is so anticlimactic. So it really, the film, it just feels like the monsters are an afterthought. So it's just meh for me. Not bad, not good, just meh. Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. Very, very close to hate. But again, I can't say that I hate it, but I strongly dislike it. God, Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster is so boring to me. It is so boring. I can't. The only thing that was interesting, I guess, was seeing Akira Takarada again, and then I can't remember the actor's name, but the actor who played as Dr. Serizawa in the first film, that he came back and played as a villain. I thought that would, he was cool in that, but in terms of the film itself, I just can't. I don't like the suit. I don't like Ibra. Mothra's in it again for some dumb reason. The plot's it's long, slow. I just. Oh yeah, and the bird. Yeah, alphabet soup. Exactly. The giant condor. Like, what the hell? So, not a film for me. If you put this film on, I will fall asleep. Like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Son of Godzilla, again, dislike. Again, it has. I'm not a fan of Minya at all. Not a fan of Gamacaris. Not a fan of Kumonga. I feel like those monsters. I mean, it's cool to see them in newer material, but I think the the bug creatures, for some reason, I just never got behind. And I just never gravitated towards that. I will say there are cute moments in Son of Godzilla for sure, like when Minya's playing with Godzilla while he's sleeping and he's like jumping around his tail, and he's like, there's funny bits. I guess out of any of these Showa films that I have listed right now, if you had to make me watch one in the dislike category, I guess I would pick Son of Godzilla, but it's just still boring to me. Like, and again, the Godzilla suit in this one, like the worst. The Son of Godzilla suit is the worst looking suit in my opinion. It is horrible. It is really bad. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, here we go, guys. Destroy All Monsters. I also dislike Destroy All Monsters. I, again, don't... Okay, look, I can understand as people who grew up with the Showa films, right? Like if you're in your 50s or 40s or whatever, right? Even older, right? That when you were a kid and watching Destroy All Monsters was probably like this amazing thing, right? It was like, oh my god, this is so crazy, seeing all these monsters on screen. But I've never understood the reason why it is so held at such a high regard, because the story is extremely slow and boring to me. The characters, I just never could care about. And by the time and I'm not going to lie though, at this point, I would say the Showa series, at least one thing I can give it, the special effects was like peak. I'd say at this point, the whole team, since it was, they thought it was going to be the final film, putting everything into it, they were on their A game when it came to like the special effects. The suits look great. I love the 68 Godzilla suit. That's like one of the most classic, iconic suits. But again, the ending is also what really got me. As a kid watching it, I was so hyped to have this final battle where King Ghidorah's fighting all the monsters that we've seen prior. But King Ghidorah just gets completely slammed down, and there's like no chance for him, and it's just sort of this anticlimactic battle, and it's like, oh, okay, that was meh. And then you had that what was it, this that saucer at the end that's like flaming or whatever. I thought that was gonna be like a new monster, and it just turned out to be one of the UFOs. So it's like, oh, okay. Also the aliens, what are they, the Keylok or whatever was that they're one of the most like not memorable at all in terms of alien bad guys. So there's just not a lot for Destroy All Monsters for me. It's just, again, special effects and the scenes where the monsters are there is really good, but really in terms of everything else, it's not there. Excuse me, I gotta get some water real quick. Okay. Oh, sorry, my throat's just kind of tickling me. The UFO is called the Fire Dragon. Yeah, see, it's... No, Fire Dragon, it wasn't a dragon, though. It was a UFO. Anyway, so, yeah, Destroy All Monsters just not there for me. And again, I know I'm going to get so much hate for it, but no. Nope, just not for me. Not for me at all. Okay. All right. Okay. Godzilla's Revenge. Um, if I wanted to be funny about it, I'd put it in meh. But no, I dislike Godzilla's Revenge as well. I mean, I wouldn't say hate because there are certain aspects of Godzilla's Revenge that as time has moved on, I have sort of enjoyed it over time. Like it sort of has grown on me in a little bit. I think one of the big reasons why Godzilla's Revenge has grown on me compared to the other Showa films that are in this category is Gabra and the fact that I did like the Gabra's Bad Day. So I think the reason I like have that is it's just like funny. I don't know. So but it's not an atomic disaster. No. Yeah. So yeah, and Ichiro, I mean the human stuff was laughable too, but again, I think despite the stock footage used, right? The amount of stock footage, it's like it's funny in a way. The Gabra stuff, I don't know, and also just seeing Mina get his butt kicked, I don't know, it's just kind of funny to me. So that's really it with that. So all right. Also, let me know if the music is fine. Like if the music's not overtaking my voice, just let me know. Okay. Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. I actually like this one. Godzilla versus Hedorah. Yeah, I like Godzilla versus Hedorah. I feel is after all these films after 1954, it's like Hedorah went back to a grounded, darker, serious tone. And I've always had this fascination with Hedorah. I just love Hedorah. I think he's an amazing character. I don't know why. I think it's because he's just sort of terrifying looking, but also just so unique compared to everything else that we've seen up to that point. Yeah. So that was, and the dark themes and the political aspect of the environmentalism thing there, fantastic. Again, Godzilla using the 68 suit was amazing as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, I mean, it's trippy too, and a lot of the trippy stuff about the film as well. But I think it's one of the most interesting films out of the Showa series because it was doing something really different. And yeah, also Yoshimichi Banno. I mean, we got to give that guy credit because he pretty much saved the franchise after 2004. So, yeah. All right, Godzilla vs. Gigan. Okay, Godzilla vs. Gigan. I want to put in dislike, but I'm gonna put it in meh. It's Godzilla vs. Gigan is the take it or leave it for me. I can't stand anything when it comes to the human stuff, the human drama, the human storyline. I don't like. It's boring. I don't care about the characters. They're all the alien bad guys are annoying. I don't like them at all. But then the monster stuff is actually pretty damn cool. I like the fact that this film has a meaty climax where it's like almost 30 minutes of a final battle. Hey, Parakokik's in the chat. What's up, man? Been a long time, Parakokik. How you doing, man? So yeah, like I would say it's the final battle that really saves the film for me, and it's Gigan. I mean, Gigan having this monster introduced and having it be this tag team battle with Godzilla and Anguirus versus Gigan and King Ghidorah was just so awesome. King Ghidorah, though, was done dirty in this one. King Ghidorah barely did anything, and that suit by this time was looking real raggedy. Although, actually, Godzilla, I remember actually too, Godzilla's suit also was getting real raggedy at this point as well. This is where they had to switch to a new suit because there's like a scene where Godzilla roars, he does like this thing, and then you see like his skin's like falling off. The suit's just degrading at this point. So, yeah, the part with Godzilla with talking, that was also sort of an iconic but weird moment. But it's a meh for me. It's a take it or leave. Like if I ever put this film on, I always skip to the final battle because I just do not want to watch the rest of it. So, yeah. Okay, Godzilla versus Megalon. This this is in the same category. It's literally the same deal. Human stuff sucks. Storyline sucks. Boring, takes forever. But then when it gets to the monster stuff, it's very fun. And I love Megalon and Jet Jaguar. Like, again, they bring over Gigan, which is fantastic. And then you have this new character, Megalon, which is like, for some reason, Megalon too. Like, I just love Megalon. It's kind of like, it's the same thing with Hedorah. I love Megalon, and I also love Hedorah. They're sort of in the same, boat. This is my favorite Showa suit. Is this next set of movies is the 73 to 75 suit. I love the suit. Let's see, Parakokic. No, I did not delete all the videos. I reshuffled my whole channel because I'm changing things up behind the scenes, and I just moved everything to like one playlist, depending on like what there's the Legacy Restored playlist, which is all the old stuff that was recovered, and then I have like the newer stuff that was under the CJ Cooper's Productions banner, and then I have like the new stuff. I'm just cleaning up the channel. There's just things that I'm working on, just to get it all cleaned up. So no, nothing's deleted. It's just you got to go to the playlist to watch the videos. So yeah, there's more reasons behind it, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. So anywho, but yeah, it's like, that's the thing. Don't like the human stuff, but the final battle was so fun to watch. Like, I love watching the Godzilla versus Megalon fight every time. So again, it's the exact same thing with Godzilla versus Gigan. It's just half of it not that great, the human stuff, but the monster stuff is pretty fun. Okay, now we have Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. I love Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. This is, in my opinion, well, actually, I'm just going to say it too. Boom. The Mechagodzilla duology in the Showa series, peak. Like, me not being a fan of the Showa stuff, but I will say the Mechagodzilla films, for some reason, they just nailed it. Like, I don't know how they did it, but the human stuff is interesting. The storyline is intriguing and engaging. The human characters are really engaging, and then the monster stuff is just so great. Again, King Caesar being this new enemy that came out, or being introduced. King Caesar is so cool. Like, I just love King Caesar, and I really hope that Toho does something this year for King Caesar, because it is his 50th anniversary as well, next to Mechagodzilla, so I really hope that they do something with him. And then, again, moving on to the sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla. When I first saw this film, I actually initially hated it as a kid. I didn't like it, but that's because I watched the dub version, the American version of it. And they cut out a lot of, like, things that make it an amazing film, So later on, it was like many years later, I finally got to watch the Japanese version of Terror Mechagodzilla, and it just like, everything changed. Like, the film just became a 10 out of 10 for me. The human stuff was so damn good. The human story was so damn good with like Katsura, and then the aliens coming back. I know they're technically different characters, but to me they're like the same dude. Like, I don't know. I know he got his neck shot in the last one, which, by the way, is the gore in these last few Showa films very intense. But and then of course the final battle was also intense. Titanosaurus, I will admit, if you guys watch my other top 10s or whatever, my rankings, Titanosaurus is not one of my favorite characters. But that's a small thing. I could watch these films anytime. I love it. So, Entertainment Corner, disagree with Mothra vs. Goji, but other than that, I could agree with everything else. To be honest, some more others, and I love everything Goji, but you had yeah, man, no worries, it's okay. I know a lot of people love Mothra vs. Godzilla. Totally fine. No worries there. Okay, guys, so now we move into the Heisei era, where I am completely and utterly biased. So, but Return to Godzilla, it's atomic disaster. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, no. It's I love Love, love, love. It is my, well, in fact, I'll probably put it above. Is this how tier lists work? If I put it above this, is this the number one? So you guys know Return of Godzilla is my all-time favorite. I don't need to really explain because I've almost my whole time doing GojiFan, I've talked about what I love about Return of Godzilla. I mean, again, it's mainly because of the fact that they brought it back to a darker tone. Oh, hold on, the internet, the settings are telling me that I am running low on output here. Ugh. Enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Ugh. YouTube is not receiving enough if you experience buffering. Yeah, sorry guys about the buffering if you guys are experiencing that right now. Let me try and switch. I'm going to try and switch some stuff here. Hopefully that'll work. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, they brought Godzilla back to a dark root, his dark roots. The suit is like one of the best suits next to the 54 suit because it actually looks terrifying, at least for the time. I don't know, I'm not going to say the Return of Godzilla suit's terrifying now, but for the time, the suit was fantastic. I love the Cybot, the close-up shots, even though they haven't aged well. I think the close-up shots are still really cool, especially how Godzilla's like lips quiver. Ugh, it's so great. I will say the human aspect of Return of Godzilla is not as strong as 54, but it still is intriguing enough. I like the idea of them figuring out like, oh, the birds, and Godzilla's attracted to the birds, so let's put him in a volcano. Like, it's just crazy. But and definitely watch the Japanese version. The American version is fine, and I know they brought back Raymond Burr, but the American version sort of makes a mockery of the film, and it was only Raymond Burr that actually stood up for the film and was like, no, we have to have this be serious. So I do respect Raymond Burr for standing up for the film to say, no, this has to be a serious film, instead of what they originally wanted to do, where making like a parody. But the Japanese version is just fantastic. And the thing is, like, the special effects too, I mean, everything had a higher budget. It just looks like that. The film just looks so unique. There's no other Godzilla film that looks like it, and it's just so cool. Yeah, it is my number one film, by far. At like, nothing will top it. And even -1. I know we'll get to -1, but even I still like 84 is so ingrained into my childhood and into like what Godzilla is. It's just like, yeah. So, all right. Godzilla vs. Biollante. I love Godzilla vs. Biollante. Being a direct sequel to 84, and I like how there's continuity. And, this is where we get into the point where this era had the most continuity out of any franchise next to the MonsterVerse, but you can also debate that the MonsterVerse doesn't really have a lot of continuity good, but whatever. In terms of Toho's side of things, I like how this film directly references 84. There's even that shot where they have like the memorial in that restaurant where it's like Godzilla's footprint in the building. I like that. And the human stuff is intriguing and awesome, and Biollante as a monster is great. The special effects are fantastic, and the 89 suit, even though I love 84 more in terms of the suit design, the Biollante suit, the 89 suit is would be the suit that they would use, that certain design template they would use for the rest of the series, the Heisei era, even though and it obviously had minor alterations throughout the films, but like that was the suit. And next to Shin Godzilla and -1, the Heisei 89 to 95 suit design, like that look of Godzilla, is like the most iconic suit look ever. Like, you'll still see promotions and things using either the 94 design, the 92, or what. Like, it's just very iconic. Yeah. So, Yeah, nowadays Biollante is hard to get on Blu-ray. Yes, it definitely has gone. It's like a rarity now. It's not available as easily as it used to be, so it is pretty pricey on eBay. So yeah, but I don't. It should be on streaming services stuff. I wonder. I think Pluto TV has it available. I'm not sure, but yeah, Biollante is great. It's a fantastic story, very unique. It's great. All right, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. This one I will put in like, not as strong. Again, I have, again, I have a lot of bias with the Heisei series. I love the Heisei series, but Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, I would say, was a little bit of a step down just because it went a little more goofy, and it seemed, to be honest, this film seems to be the most disconnected out of the whole Heisei era because of the whole time travel thing. I still sort of don't fully understand the whole time travel thing. It's still kind of funny to me. But still, it's very entertaining for what it is. The human stuff is okay, but Godzilla himself is fantastic. King Ghidorah obviously being a lot more intimidating than he was in the Showa stuff. And also we got introduced to Mecha King Ghidorah, which is like so freaking cool. So I like that. And I think it was sort of like at this point, maybe up until Destroya, where the films, in terms of special effects and the way the films looked, sort of plateaued. They didn't really get any better looking, I guess, at this point. But then when like Destroya comes along, I feel they put a little bit more into the budget. But that's that. I do not. Oh gosh, Nico's in here. I don't think Raids Again should be an F, with all due respect. Nico, what are you talking about? Oh, wait. No, you think it should be an F. Oh, yeah. Well, again, Atomic Disaster and Hate are very strong. Like, very, very strong. So, Madhu, I just joined and need context on why Mothra versus Godzilla is so low. I just don't care for Mothra as a character in most cases, and I just found the film extremely boring. And I also didn't like the fact that Godzilla got defeated by two turds. Like, just not my favorite. So yeah. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah though, fantastic film though, very entertaining. All right, Godzilla vs. Mothra. This is, to be honest, this is the only film out of the Heisei series that I dislike. Again, oh, Mothra, wow. Oh. But there's a lot of downgrades. But it's so ironic though, because Godzilla vs. Mothra, in terms of the Heisei stuff, was like the best-selling film out of the franchise at that point, right? Like, I think it was like, it sold many tickets and all that stuff. But in my opinion, I think it took a big dip in quality for the Heisei series. Godzilla's roar went extremely higher pitch. It didn't have that bellowing 84 roar that they kept for the first three films, and then they just dropped it to have this higher pitch roar. Madhu, opinion didn't change over the years on Mothra vs. Godzilla. No, not the Showa one. Yeah. But again, for the Heisei Mothra vs. Godzilla, or Godzilla vs. Mothra, whatever. Yeah, Godzilla seemed to be nerfed a little bit. His beam effect too, like weird sound effect too, very light toned. Mothra herself was just way too puppet like and just, I don't know, she just didn't feel realistic at all. That's just my opinion with that. And again, as much as I love the Heisei stuff, again, as iconic and as much as I love Heisei, I just can't get behind this film. It's just boring. The characters are not interesting, and the final battle is not interesting because Godzilla is just fighting two flying puppets. Like, I can't get behind it. It's just not that interesting to watch. Music's still great. I forgot to mention the music with all these films. I'll just say now, in terms of music soundtracks for all these films, guys, even the ones that I dislike, all the film soundtracks are fantastic. There's no Godzilla film that I don't like the soundtrack. So just know that going into it, that I like every single soundtrack, including Raids Again, Son of Godzilla, like all that. Like, yeah. So, oh my God, Nico's here. What is you there? Enjoying your streams. You're so funny, Nico. Because I know you're judging me, Nico. That's why. So, I will say the one good thing about Godzilla vs. Mothra is Batra. Batra is probably the only thing about the film that is awesome. And I hate the fact that we've never seen Batra again. So, yeah. Yeah. The highest order. Do you like 84 more than 54? Oh, of course, yes. Tremendously. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Now, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. We're going to go back up to, like... yeah. This, my birthday movie. It's... They went back up a little bit. They had a little bit of a dip with Godzilla vs. Mothra, but then they brought it back. Got a little bit better in terms of quality, storytelling, overall stuff like that. It's definitely a way more interesting and engaging story than the last one. Madhu, we'll get to -1. Don't worry. Yeah, I love this film. The one thing that's weird to me is Rodan and the relationship between baby Godzilla and Godzilla. It's weird. Are they like distant brothers, cousins, whatever? It's kind of interesting. But Super Mechagodzilla himself, or I guess Mechagodzilla 93, not a great Mechagodzilla in my opinion. Nico's gonna kill me, but only because Mechagodzilla was a giant tank essentially, and there wasn't a lot of he just didn't have a lot of like movement to him, unlike the Showa version and when we get to Kiryu with the Millennium stuff. But overall though, I still think that Mechagodzilla is fantastic in this though. I mean, he's still intimidating, he still kicks Godzilla's butt, and again, for a film that was supposed to be the end of the Heisei series, I think it was. If the series ended with this film, I wouldn't be that disappointed. I do love Destroya a lot more, but if this were to be the last one, I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, all right, yeah, that was a good way to end it, yeah, not bad. Okay, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I like this one too. I'm not gonna put it in love, even though Space Godzilla is my all-time favorite Godzilla enemy, only next to Gigan, really. But I do understand that Space Godzilla has its faults. I do understand that it's not, that it's sort of this film that they felt it just uninspired, and it was like, hey, we have to have a film come out for the anniversary, and it's kind of weird that this was the film we got in terms of like Godzilla's big anniversary. Still, it would have been his 40th anniversary. But for some reason, I think it's because of Space Godzilla or anything like that. I find the film very enjoyable. Like, it's fun. I don't know. It's very fun. Mogera, I will say, not that interesting. Not a big fan of Mogera, really. Never been. Just kind of there. I actually kind of like it when Mogera gets completely destroyed by Space Godzilla. It's like, yeah, take that boring thing out. The one thing also that I love about this film too is the ending. I actually really love how the ending has the credits, the music at the end. For some reason, I just really love that track, like how they're off on the, they're next to the beach and the music starts playing. It's just really serene and nice. But definitely happy that the series didn't end with this film, because that would have been a little bit more disappointing. But it's still, I don't know, it's just fun. And again, having with like what Mothra vs. Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Mothra and Mechagodzilla 93, that bringing back the consistency with the storytelling of the Heisei series with like Mickey's character, fantastic, so it sort of keeps the human stuff, the human drama interesting as you go along with it. So Roy Lopez, the film feels the most Showa. Oh, yeah. Oh, also, I know a lot of people don't like Little Godzilla, but I freaking love Little Godzilla. To me, that's what Minya should have been. Like, that's just, that's just me. So, all right. Okay. Here we have Destroya. Love. I mean, again, it's like, it's full circle, I feel, with the first film, and again, everything about it. And I know that Destroya has some detractors, and I actually know that the film in recent years has been getting less popular, and I don't understand why. It's like some films get more popular over time. Some films were popular, but then they start to lose their popularity. I don't really know why. I think it's, I don't know. But Destroya is so good as a film, especially in terms of a finale. Like this, if this was the final Godzilla film of all time, right? Like we never got another film, this would be the best way to go out, I feel, at least at the time. Like I really think. Destroya as an enemy is really cool. I do think Destroya is a little weak though compared to how intimidating he looks, but I will say though, having the final like enemy for Godzilla be a monster created by the oxygen destroyer is like one of the most amazing things. Like that's such a brilliant idea, right? The music is great. I mean, it's like everything. They just went out with a huge bang with this film. Having a lot of nods to the 54 film, having Emiko come back as an older lady, like that. Oh, like bringing that canon there was so good. And then Godzilla Jr. just being so awesome. And then of course the whole, meltdown, burning Godzilla plot line, super sad. And this was the first film as a kid. Like I remember this is like the first time watching this film. I remember vividly. I will never forget. I remember vividly being at, I was at my parents' house. I was downstairs in the basement watching this film for the first time. And when Godzilla melted down and that, Godzilla's Requiem plays and it's just super sad. I mean, I cried as a kid. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I did, like it was so sad because it's like you see your favorite character just die a horrible death. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, so it's great. It is fantastic. Yeah. Can't go wrong with it. Okay. All right. 1998. I wonder what people are gonna, what are we gonna say with this? Oh no, I like it. Yeah. I am one of those people. Yes, guys. I do like the 1998 film. And I like it because to me, here's the thing. At the time, I understand why this film was not loved, right? I get it. It's way too different. Godzilla in it is just not, it doesn't feel like Godzilla. I understand that. But here's the thing. Nowadays, right? Think about what we've gotten in terms of Godzilla nowadays. Shin Godzilla, the Monster Planet Godzilla, Godzilla from Singular Point, like these different incarnations and radical changes that they've done to the Godzilla character. Zilla doesn't seem so odd anymore, does he? He really seems like, oh, it's just another radical change of the character. But I think the only reason this film didn't do well or people didn't like it was because we didn't have anything that radical yet. But now we have. So looking back at 98, it's really not that bad. So when I look at 1998, to me, I'm like, yeah, that is Godzilla because it's just a different incarnation of him. I no longer am one of those people that are like, well, it's a fun monster movie, but it's not a Godzilla movie. It's like, no, it is a Godzilla movie. It's just a very different Godzilla. And I enjoyed it. I do. Like, I don't know. I think it's fun. It's entertaining. It's cheesy. It's turn your brain off. It's, it's like, it's a 90s version of a MonsterVerse film. There you go. Like, what more do you want, right? I think a lot of people need to sort of get over it, like need to get over the hate for 98 and just, hey, that kind of rhymed, and just try to look at it in a different way. I don't know. So that's just me, but yeah. The 98 series is not listed in this tier list. I'm also the Hanna-Barbera stuff is not listed, but if I were to rate the 98 animated series and the Hanna-Barbera stuff, I would say that I dislike them. I don't care for Hanna-Barbera Godzilla, and I don't care for the 98 series. I know a lot of people are like, what, you don't like the animated? I don't. I think the art style is horrible, and I think Godzilla Jr. has atomic breath, so that automatically makes it better. No, I don't find it fun at all. So that's just me. I know, gonna get a lot of animated show haters, but I don't care. Okay. All right. Bringing it back. Godzilla Millennium. I go back and forth with this one with Godzilla 2000, but I'm not going to lie. I love it. I love Godzilla 2000. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Godzilla 2000 to me is, I think I also have a lot of memories with it because it was it was the first Godzilla. Well, okay, 98 technically would be the first film that I saw in theaters as a kid, but 2000 was the first Japanese Godzilla film I saw in theaters. So that I liked, and I think that brings a lot of bias, too. But yeah, I don't really know what there is to hate about Godzilla 2000. I would strongly recommend watching the Japanese version, and this is weird. A lot of people say the American version is better. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. I think the American version butchers a lot of the characters and some things like that. I understand that the film, the special effects haven't aged well because this is where Toho was starting to use CGI and like green screen effects, and it didn't look great. I'll admit. But I think it's just a fun movie. I think the Millennium design is so cool and iconic looking. Orga is an amazing monster. The music is so great. Yeah. Raid stick. Wait, when did Godzilla 2000 get released theatrically? Yeah, man, Godzilla 2000 came out in 2000. In Japan, it was 1999. But no, America, it had a short run in America. Didn't do well, obviously, with ticket sales and all that stuff, because people were still hung up with 98. So it wasn't the best idea to have 2000 come out right after, because people thought it was a sequel and it just wasn't, whatever. But it sort of put Toho in a very hard place in terms of finances for the rest of the Millennium series, because every film didn't do well. Essentially, they just kept on losing money. But yeah, I don't know. Godzilla 2000 is just super entertaining to me. Yeah. All right, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. This is the only Millennium film that I would say a meh at. It's, again, I like how they continue. As a kid, I was confused because I thought it was a sequel because it was the same Godzilla suit, but nope, it's not. It's a completely different thing. And this is what made the Millennium series very unique, is that all the movies were their own separate canonicity, whatever. But I don't know. Again, it's a giant bug flying creature, and I just can't gravitate to her. So Megaguirus herself, I've just never been a fan of. The last battle's cool though. I do like the final battle in this film. It is very fun, and the music's great too. But it, for some reason, the film's just kind of like, like I could watch it and maybe be entertained, but then I might also fall asleep. So that's why it's at a meh category. Again, not saying it's bad or good. It's just, yeah. So, okay, of course, GMK, I don't even have to, do I have to explain why this film is an S tier? It's like, this film, peak Millennium era, right? You can't go wrong with this film. The music, the special effects, the directing, the characters, the human story, the drama, the monsters themselves, Godzilla himself being one of the most terrifying Godzillas at the time, and just being this unstoppable force, right? And to be honest, Mothra, she was kind of cool in this one. Not gonna lie, I liked her design. I think Mothra's design in this was pretty good, and I also like how they flipped King Ghidorah's role to being a good guy. I thought that was pretty cool too. Baragon, I love Baragon in this one. I think he's really cute, but very sad that he gets like murdered so fast and in a horrible way. I would have preferred the original pitch, where it would have been Anguirus, Varan, and Baragon to be the Earth Guardians, but I still think for what we got, it's still a defining moment in the Godzilla franchise. It's just fantastic. Everything about it. It's 10 out of 10. There's nothing I don't like about it. So, yeah. All right, Godzilla X Mechagodzilla. This one I like. I do like Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Those just okay. Kiryu as a Mechagodzilla, I will say here, is my favorite Mechagodzilla version of him. because he's like a mix of both the Showa and Heisei. He is very agile, has a cool, sleek design, but he also can be a tank, right? And also the idea that these are the original bones of Godzilla. Like, we all know the story. It's fantastic. Like, that's such a cool idea, right? One thing I will say about the Kiryu duology is the human story in it. Well, actually, I take that back. In the first one with the female main character, she's one of the best female leads in any Godzilla film. She has such an amazing story arc, or like character arc, in it, and I really love it. It's a very engaging story, and then Godzilla himself is fantastic too. He's mean. He's what Godzilla's supposed to be, really, in my opinion, and the action scenes are great. But the defining reason why I like this Mechagodzilla film the most, even though technically I should put this in love now that I'm thinking about it, because I like this film more than the Showa Mechagodzilla films for one reason, and I actually like it more than any of the Mechagodzilla stuff, is because this is the only, and no one talks about this, which is so weird, this is the only film that is just Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. The first one, King Caesar butts in. The second one, Titanosaurus butts in. The Heisei one, Rodan butts in. Later in Tokyo SOS, Mothra butts in. And I think the next time, City on the Edge of Battle doesn't count. And then, of course, in Godzilla vs. Kong, Kong is there to mess up the whole fight, right? It's the only film. It is the only film that is just strictly Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla, and that's what makes it so cool, because you're focused on just those two characters and nothing else is distracting you from them, and I really like that. So, it's great. Now, in terms of Tokyo SOS, I actually dislike Tokyo SOS. For all of the praise that I just gave against Mechagodzilla, Tokyo SOS for me dropped the ball. I don't know what happened, but I think it's because, well, you guys see a reoccurring theme? Mothra's in it. I mean, seriously, guys, I don't know what is with Mothra, but it's like when she pops in, she overtakes the film. And it's like when you have Godzilla versus Kiryu, and it was like, yes, I just want these two guys to fight. At the end, Godzilla's walking away with the scar on his chest, and they're like, we're gonna get you, and it's on that cliffhanger. And they come back, and it's essentially Kiryu is now not as big of an important thing. I mean, he's still important, integral to the series, or to the film, but it's like Mothra is now all of a sudden pushed into this universe, because technically this is its own universe. It's not canon to any other thing except for the original film, and it's like, why does Mothra have to be here, and so that's one aspect I don't like. In terms of the special effects and just the way the film looks in terms of visuals, this is the best looking Godzilla film out of the Suitimation era of Toho stuff. In my opinion, Tokyo SOS looks the best in terms of Suitimation special effects out of all the films. The Showa Heisei Millennium, I feel like Tokyo SOS was like the best in terms of visual effects and suit design and all that stuff. That's that's good things, I'll give that too. But it's just still, the whole film just kind of meh. Andrew DiFilippo, I can't say your last name, Andrew. Hello. But yeah, I can't say it. I'll put it in meh. It's meh. It's because it's still very entertaining. The last battle's cool, but the human stuff isn't as interesting as the previous one. But it's meh. I'll say meh. That's what it is. So, yeah. Okay. So let's see next here. Okay, Godzilla Final Wars. Duh. I will die on this hill. Final Wars is like the best thing. And, okay, and here's what's really funny. People, and I actually kind of had to wonder this too. I'm kind of a hypocrite, right? I talk a lot of trash about the MonsterVerse being too goofy and crazy and zany and all that stuff. Yet here I am going, Final Wars is the best thing ever. But it's because Final Wars, again, is its own thing. It's not part of a series that started out serious, right? That had a lot of potential and then got silly. No. This film just went in full blown balls to the wall. Here we go. Bam. Final Wars. Like it's awesome. Hey, Paul. Awesome. Hey, it's been a long time, Paul. How you doing, man? Yes. So the one thing I'll never understand is the Showa fans, and this is no disrespect to Showa fans. I understand. Oh, see, it's like, okay, Godzilla Fan Freaks is in the chat. As soon as I said Final Wars, Godzilla Fan Freaks pops up. I swear to God, dude, have you been watching this whole time, or did you just hear Final Wars and you just had to pop in? I swear, I know. No, it's all good, man. But the thing that I don't understand, and I will never, ever understand, is why Showa fans love all the stuff about the Showa craziness and goofiness and dumbness, right? And they trash on Final Wars. And I'm like, Final Wars is literally the modern version, or I guess I'd say the millennium version of the Showa stuff. It is literally a remake of Destroy All Monsters. And I can't, it just boggles my mind. Like, all the crazy stuff that happens in the Showa series that's like cheesy, dumb, crazy, out there, yet Final Wars, no, it can't do that. It can't be like that. Well, I'll never understand it. I will never understand the hate for Final Wars. But in terms of Final Wars, though, oh my God, it is so fun. It is the most enjoyable film ever. No, Godzilla Fan Freaks, it is. You're wrong. You're just objectively wrong. No, Godzilla Fan Freaks and we go back and forth on this. It's hilarious, yeah. But everything about this film is just fantastic. And probably the best aspect of this film is the bad guy. There is no other villain in the Godzilla series that is as entertaining to watch as the controller guy, the controller X dude, whatever. Like, it is the best. I'm so happy Final Wars exists, and I love how it ticks off so many Showa fans. So Final Wars over Destroy All Monsters any day. Oh my God. Yeah. So, okay. So there we go. That is pretty much it for the, I would say, can we call it classic era of Godzilla? Probably. Yeah. Okay. Now, Godzilla 2014. Over the years, when I first saw the film, with all the hype train, all that stuff, and you guys were actually there for this back in the day, I would say that I loved it. Then after a few watchings, I went to liking it. Then there was a time where I actually sort of was meh with it, close to being disliking, actually. But because of what the MonsterVerse has become lately, and after rewatching Godzilla 2014 a few more times over the years, it has now crawled its way back to S tier for me. Because there's a lot of reasons why. But the big thing is because 2014, no matter what you say about the MonsterVerse, you have to give the MonsterVerse praise, because without the MonsterVerse, we wouldn't have gotten Shin Godzilla or -1. Godzilla would not have continued in Japan. I really don't feel. So there's a lot to be said about 2014 of what it did to the franchise, or what it did for the franchise. Now, in terms of the human character stuff in it, I feel, next to like Skull Island, I feel like the human stuff in 2014 it was good. After, like, hindsight, looking at it in hindsight, compared to what the human stuff we have now in the MonsterVerse, in my opinion, you can't compete with the 2014 stuff. I still hate the fact they killed off Bryan Cranston halfway through the film. I will admit that was annoying. I'm not going to say that was a good thing. It wasn't. I think Bryan Cranston should have stayed throughout the whole film. In fact, Bryan Cranston should have been a main player throughout like the majority of the MonsterVerse, along with Dr. Serizawa. I will say that. But I don't hate Aaron Taylor Johnson as much as people do. I've never fully understood that. I think he plays his character pretty straight, as in terms of a guy who has a lot of past trauma, like childhood trauma, and being a military guy. Like, I just feel like that's how someone would act. They just wouldn't be very, I don't know. Like, I feel like he did a good job. And the overall special effects with this film, the camera angles, the cinematography, the amount of realism and just groundedness that this film has was amazing. The other thing that I dislike though about it was the false advertising. The fact that we thought Godzilla was the big enemy, but it actually was the Mutos. I do think the Mutos are fantastic, but I do think that 2014 would have been it would have been better as a solo film. I really do. But like the more it's like 1954 for me. The more I watch 2014, the more I appreciate it and the more I find new things to love about it. Like it just happens that way for me. It probably has been the most rewatched film I've seen in the MonsterVerse. So that's got to stand for something, right? So, okay. Shin Godzilla. Love me some Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla, fantastic. The fact that Toho came back with a Godzilla film and being super innovative and changing up the status quo and showing us that Toho still has it was amazing. Love the character design, love Shin Godzilla's look. And, you know, I understand that some people, they don't like Shin Godzilla because of the fact that there's not really a cast to follow, but that's not the point. Shin Godzilla is a very different film. Very, very different film. It's not supposed to be focused on one character. It's supposed to be focused on a group of people that are trying to cut through so much red tape in the government to try and help the country. Like that's what it's about. And I think when you understand that, the film has so much meat to it and so much metaphorical symbolism, all that good stuff. And it's like, to me, that's what Godzilla is. Like a Godzilla film needs to have a serious tone to it. It needs to have the metaphorical allegories. That, to me, that's just what Godzilla is. To me, in my opinion. I know a lot of people agree, but I also know a lot of people disagree. But that's just what it is, you know? That's why almost every solo Godzilla film, well, in fact, every solo Godzilla film is S tier for me, because that's what Godzilla is, you know? So, and the different forms, yeah, they're fine. I mean, I will admit that the first two forms were kind of goofy looking, but when the fourth form comes on shore, because I know there was like a first form, but we never got to see it. It was like the tadpole look or whatever. It's an experience, and I can watch Shin Godzilla over and over again and never be bored. Like, it's such an engaging film, and I love it so much. Okay, now on to the anime trilogy. Okay, I'm just gonna do this real quick. Anime trilogy, Monster Planet is meh. City on the Edge of Battle actually is the first hate. There we go. And the third film is a meh. So let me explain what just happened. Monster Planet was a very promising start. Very promising start to this cool new thing. Godzilla's never had an anime. It would be so cool. Let's see, Alphabet Soup. Hey Chris, how would a solo film would you do if Godzilla was a good guy? No. See, to me, Godzilla can't be a good guy. I'm sorry. Like, I love Godzilla when he's fighting other bad guys and when he's saving the earth or whatever. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's fine. But to me, the real Godzilla is when he is a problem, when he is the bad guy, when he's the obstacle for humankind. To me, that's where I get most enjoyment out of watching Godzilla. So I wouldn't really prefer a solo film where he's a good guy, because I don't know what they would do. There wouldn't be a conflict if he was a good guy if it was solo. So that's, yeah. Okay, but back to Planet Earth, or Planet of Monsters, whatever. Monster Planet, good lord. It was just a very promising start. everything about it, the setup was really cool. The human characters were somewhat interesting, even though maybe a little bit annoying. But in terms of anime, it was kind of tropey too. I mean, the main character being this angsty guy, that's been done plenty of times. But by the second film, it's awful. It's bad. Toho really screwed the pooch with it. And the characters, the story just goes in this crazy direction where, like, now all of a sudden there's this stuff that takes over people, the nano metal or whatever it was. They kill off a lot of characters. Mechagodzilla was going to be in it, but now he just got reduced to a living city. It's so weird. Everything that they talked about made no sense. There was so much scientific garble, whatever, and I just couldn't get behind it. I was like, no, I don't know what's going on. Just don't know. By the time the third film came out, I had an open mind about it, and I think that the third film at least had a climactic ending. I think that it got better. In my opinion, I think it's the best out of the trilogy. I mean, that's not saying much, I know, but in terms of the trilogy itself, I do think that it at least was more engaging because it was the climax, it was the finale, things were starting to close and all that. But what kills the film is the ending. It's like, oh my god, like what's the main character's name? Haruo or something like that. He decides to fly off and get killed by Godzilla at the end or something like that. Like it was just such a oh, Turner Jenkins, no worry, man, see you later. It was just such a weird way to end this whole trilogy after all they fought for, right? After all Haruo worked for, he just, at the end, he dies for nothing. He just, like, kills himself. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, why? So the whole trilogy, yes, it just left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouth. It's very hard to find people that like the whole trilogy. Yeah. So, okay. I actually recently rewatched King of the Monsters, and I'm putting it at meh. You know, this is the start of the MonsterVerse when it got a little silly-ish, and it became more of a Marvel MCU style, you know, with like dialogue. The biggest thing I dislike about Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 2019 film, is the human stuff. It is, in terms of like some of the dialogue, I cannot stand some of the lines, the comedy relief stuff by the scientist dude or any of that. It takes me out every time. Like, oh yeah, this is one of those Dr. Serizawa let him fight moments. Oh, I loved it when he said that. I'm like, dude, that's not, like, shut up. Like, the lines that this guy would say, I don't blame the actor because he was acting. He had a job, but some of the directing and the line deliveries and when you're trying to play it so serious and you have all these comedic relief moments, it's just not funny. Also, the Raid Steculum, a world without silliness would be quite dull. No, I understand that, but sometimes too much silliness can take you out, especially if you try to do what MCU does, like with the Marvel movies. You can't. It's not applicable to everything. You can have comedy relief, but you got to do it right, you know. And yeah, in terms of special effects, I will say that this film, with his visuals and everything, is breathtaking. This film, like, there are so many frames of this film that could be a wallpaper, right? Like, it's that good. They nailed Godzilla perfectly in this. In my opinion, King Ghidorah in this is the best incarnation that they've ever done. And it wasn't even done by Toho, which I find hilarious. But I do think King Ghidorah in this is the best incarnation because he's like super intimidating, super powerful. It takes a lot for him to go down, like, fantastic stuff. Yeah. Mothra. Now, for all of you guys who, you know, I know I've been saying I don't like Mothra. I actually love the MonsterVerse Mothra. I think Mothra in this film, and that's all I'll say, she is awesome. she's such an ass kicker in these films. Rodan also was done very well. I think Rodan also was amazing. The thing too was the music. I know a lot of people talk about how the soundtrack of this film is the best. I will admit it is very, very epic, and it definitely gets your blood pumping when the music starts kicking up and the main theme plays. Like, it's nice. It is nice to see a American Godzilla film play the actual theme of Godzilla. It is nice. It was something that 2014 was lacking, and also the future MonsterVerse films lack. That was great. Bear McCready, yeah, doing really good. But the human story, the plot, is so thin. I still don't understand the motivations behind wanting to work with the terrorist group or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And also the guy, I don't remember his name, but the terrorist guy, the eco-terrorist dude, I can't remember his name. He was such a wasted villain, by the ways. He could have played such a crucial role in the rest of the films, but they only used him for one film, and that's it. It was like, oh my gosh, like, blah, 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 blah. So, also, again, they don't bring anyone from 2014 in this film, so it sort of disconnects in terms of the continuity. Like, oh yeah, Alan Jonah, yeah, thank you. Like, you're not gonna bring Ford Brody. You're not going to talk to him because he's like one of the people that has had direct connection with Godzilla. Hello, like, why are you not going to bring back the character? I don't know. So I've never understood that. Overall, though, it is entertaining of a film, but I find myself dozing off. And to be honest, it is the least watched film I've seen in the MonsterVerse, because there's just a part of me that's just like, eh. Oh, Dr. Serizawa, the highest order. You reminded me. The scene, though, where Dr. Serizawa sacrifices himself to bring Godzilla back, that was peak. In terms of emotional drama, I will say the MonsterVerse nailed it with that. That scene was so great. Great every time. I get chills every time. Like, oh, yeah. So, okay, next. Godzilla vs. Kong. If I'm really gonna be honest with myself, I'm gonna put it in meh. I know a lot of people are gonna be upset by that, but the MonsterVerse as a whole, it's meh for me, because it really is turning into the MCU, and right now the MCU I'm completely don't care about, right? So the MonsterVerse is starting to turn into that, where it's just getting so silly, where I don't have any connection with these films. There's just nothing there for me to hold on to after I've watched the films. Like the credits roll and I feel nothing, and that's just not. I didn't feel that way with 2014. When the credits rolled with 2014, I was like, damn, that was a film. With these other two and Skull Island too. Remember, guys, Skull Island I also really loved. In fact, Skull Island would probably be on Love, S tier. Credits rolled, I felt something. With King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, I didn't feel anything. Does not mean the films were bad. Doesn't mean that I hate them. King Kong, Kong, is very entertaining in this when he's fighting Godzilla. The effects again are fantastic looking. It's a spectacle. That's what it is. It's a turn your brain off, watch these two giants fight each other, and that's it. The one thing that killed this film for me in particular when it comes to Godzilla vs. Kong was the introduction of Mechagodzilla being just put in this film for no reason other than just to say, hey, we have a Hollywood Mechagodzilla. I remember when I was in the theaters, because I've heard the rumors, right? I heard the rumors about Mechagodzilla being in this film, and I was very skeptical about it. And I told myself, and actually this was at the time where my wife, I was talking to her about it, and I remember telling her, I was like, you know what? If Godzilla and King Kong team up and fight Mechagodzilla, I'm going to be so pissed. And so when we're in the theaters, when we're watching this, and I remember, I remember the scene when they're like introducing Mechagodzilla. It's like he's like all curled up or whatever, and he pops in. I remember that my wife was looking over at me. She was kind of like, she knew, she was laughing the whole time. And I was just like, I got so mad because I was like, you got to be kidding me. Mechagodzilla really is in this. Oh my God. And then the final battle happens. And then when Kong decides to help Godzilla, I'm just like, oh my God, they did a Batman versus Superman thing. You've got to be kidding. And I was so disappointed. That tore the film for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can't get over that. Like, I've never been able to get over the fact that, of course, they do the whole team up thing because the directors or the producers, whatever, were too scared to have a definitive winner. So they have to have them sort of team up at the end because no one wants to have one of their monsters lose. I'm like, come on. Like, at least Toho back in the 60s, they at least sort of made a definitive winner. It was just Godzilla and Kong fighting. There was no other interruption. That's how it needs to be done. I can't stand versus movies where they just team up and then fight the other thing. No, I want to watch Godzilla versus Kong. I want to watch Batman versus Superman. I don't want to watch Batman teams up with Superman at the end when there was a slight miscalculate or understanding and then they fight the other big guy. Like, no. Like, that's not what I bought the ticket for, you know? So, yeah, it was just kind of meh, in my opinion. Mechagodzilla himself, not that bad. I mean, he was cool, you know, but yeah. Paracokic, Godzilla was definitely the winner in GVK. Yes, he was, but at the same time, it was so not well visualized. Yeah, he's like standing on Kong and he's roaring at him, but it's like that's how he went. Like, to me, the MonsterVerse Godzilla would not have done that. We saw Godzilla mercilessly kill every other monster before this one, right? Like, I don't care if I lose subscribers in this video. I could care less. If the 2014 movie, right, Godzilla tail slams Muto right into the building, impaling him. Then he does the kiss of death on the female Muto. Then in the comics and all that stuff, he brutalizes a lot of other monsters in the expanded material. Then in Godzilla King of the Monsters, he burns King Ghidorah to a crisp, grabbing the head and then burning him through his mouth with his atomic breath. Now all of a sudden you're telling me that this giant ape that put up a really good fight, that really ticked off Godzilla, and now he's just going to yell at him? No, that is not what this Godzilla would do. He would have blasted Kong's face off. Totally. He would have myrtleized Kong. But no, we can't do that because we can't have whatever. I mean, okay, Sweaty Joey, yeah, technically he does kill him, but he, like, what, his heart's gonna stop? And if it wasn't for the humans resuscitating him, then he would have went. It's like, nah, bleh, you know? Nah. So, it's meh. Yeah, it's just a meh. So, I know a lot of MonsterVerse fans don't like me, and I don't care. It's my opinion. Like, these films are just, they are Showa, they're like the Showa stuff for me. It's just turn your brain off entertainment, but there's nothing I can grab from it like the S tier movies for me. So that's just it. So, okay, Singular Point. Singular Point is a meh. Yeah, Singular Point is meh. Yeah, it's I've seen the series twice, and I still have no idea what any of that was. You know, like I really tried to understand Singular Point, and I'm just like, I just don't understand what is going on in this thing. Yeah. The art style was cool. I don't like the fact that the monsters were CGI or like 3D models. I wish they were also hand drawn like the human stuff, because I think anime looks better when it is like, at least the draw. I know sometimes it's not actual drawn because now computers graphics and things like that, but at least the old 2D style, right, of like anime. But Singular Point just kind of came out and it was like, wow, this is kind of cool and very different, and I applaud Toho for again doing something that's very unique and different. I just didn't understand it. Like I'm not big brained enough to understand this film, I guess, or the series. So it's meh for me, because I don't dislike it, because it was entertaining for what it was. But yeah, I just don't know. Hopefully Toho doesn't give up completely on the anime thing, because I think Gamera Rebirth shows that we can still have a kaiju anime that works. So I hope Toho comes back to the whole anime thing with Godzilla and does something that's just more traditional, I think, is what they need to do. So that's, I don't know, that's me. But all right. The Monarch show. I know this is movies, but we're also counting some of this other stuff here. The Monarch show. I liked the Monarch show because it was serious and grounded, and it was bringing it back to the 2014 roots, and it was good. It was good. I know it wasn't great. I know there were a lot of things that people were annoyed about with it, but I don't know, man. The Monarch show was super, super fun to watch. I really, really dug it. And I think people disliked it maybe for some reasons here and there because there wasn't enough monster stuff, but that wasn't the point with the show. It was supposed to really delve deep into the Monarch organization, and that's what I've really wanted for a long time. I wanted, like, 2014 set up the idea of the Monarch's organization, right? And no other Skull Island also did a really good job too with intrigue. But then all of a sudden, it's like it just seemed like Monarch became this super high-tech military thing, and it just kind of lost that intrigue or mystery, I guess. But the Monarch show is so good. I really liked it. It has some MCU style dialogue that can be a little cringy here points. I'd say not the modern timeline, but the past timeline, right? Was a lot better in terms of a storyline, like the past parts. You guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. So yeah, I do hope it gets a season 2. I want to see more, especially because they ended it with a cliffhanger. I won't spoil it, I guess, because I see a lot of people haven't seen it yet, so I won't spoil. But yeah. Okay, next, -1. It's an atomic. No, I'm not even gonna. I can't even. I can't. You can't have it S tier automatically. -1, guys. It is perfect. -1 is perfect. And I'm not going to go too much into it because I made a 30+ minute video reviewing -1 plus like an hour-long discussion on the channel. So go watch that. If you want to know like more of my opinions on -1 in detail. But good God, -1, it was literally everything I wanted in a Godzilla film, in a modern Godzilla film. It was dark and serious. Godzilla was the bad guy. The metaphorical allegory, theming, symbolism was there. It was just, the special effects were fantastic. Godzilla himself was the most terrifying Godzilla we've ever seen. And the film was just amazing. I can't get over the fact that we had that -1 came out. I'm like, oh my God, like we really had this kind of film come out. Oh, and dare I say, now again, 84 is still my personal favorite, only because of childhood, whatever memories. But objectively, I can't say objectively because it still is all subjective. In my opinion, I think -1 is the best Godzilla film ever made to date. I just think that it does everything that a Godzilla movie should do, and it filled everything of my Godzilla bucket that I want. And I want a sequel. Like Shin Godzilla, a lot of people wanted a sequel. I'm okay with Shin Godzilla being a one and done, but -1, nah man, I want -2. Like I want to see more of this universe. I want to see more of the characters. The characters were so great. I've never cared for a cast so much until -1. The music was so different and unique and played to the film's strengths. It just it's fantastic. Go watch my review. Like, it is just, if you want to know more, it is peak Godzilla, and I do think it is the best. It does overtake 54, and I know that might be heresy to say, but the only reason I say that is just because -1 did what 1954 did back in the day. It was that crazy, right? It's just a modern day thing. I don't know. So that's, and yes, it won the Oscar stuff and the awards, and it made a lot of money, which is fantastic. So not much more I can say. Okay. Here we go, guys. The reason why I've held off doing this until this film came out. Okay. Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. What do I think? Where would I put it? Now, for some of you here, there might be some spoilers coming at you right now, because this is going to be my time to really talk about it in terms of that. So, where would I put Godzilla X Kong? It's got to be in meh, because it it is okay. Look, for a non-spoiler part of me discussing this film, it is what I said on my video and then in my post. It is cheesy, completely dumb fun. That doesn't mean that it's great, though. The thing is about Godzilla X Kong is that it has jumped the shark in terms of, I can't take this universe seriously anymore at all. It is just so it's so goofy. It is the Showa era incarnate. like the late 60s, early 70s. It is a modern interpretation of that. And I will give it respect to that I understand that that's what the filmmakers were wanting to go for. That was their direction. They wanted to make something that was like the Showa stuff. Now, I'm not going to compare it to -1 because that's not fair. They're two different films. And this is something that I think a lot of people need to understand, is that it's hard not to compare it, I understand, because -1 came out recently too, so it's like whatever. But it still is that different to where you have to judge the film based on the previous MonsterVerse films and just on its own merit. You can't look at -1 and GXK and go, oh, well, this film did better than that. They're just so different. So different. And yeah, I mean, that's really what I can say with that. Now, in terms, I'm actually, I mean, I don't think I can go into too spoiler territory with it. For me, again, when the credits rolled, I didn't feel anything because it was just so much. That's what it was. Like, it was a lot. There was just so much stuff happening. I'm like, oh my God. And okay, let's start by this. The human plot, right? So again, I'm going to try to be as least spoiler as we can with this, but the human stuff is completely paper thin. This is the most thin human plot we've ever had in these MonsterVerse films. I mean, we have gone from up here with Skull Island in 2014 down to the bare minimum, right? I mean, it's like the bare minimum for human stuff. I do like how they brought back characters from the previous film. It makes it feel more connected. I do like how some of those characters are back. I will say my favorite character was Gia because she played a big role in the film, and I actually really liked her in the previous film. And so seeing her again was nice, and I liked how she had a little bit more character development in like finding her place and everything like that. I thought that was nice. Everything else though, the human stuff was just kind of bleh. Like that's just whatever that it was. The special effects. Okay, obviously it's a Hollywood budget and they're coming off of Godzilla vs. Kong, so there's really not much I can say in terms of special effects. It is a CGI fest. I mean, for sure. I mean, it is just everything looks like it's in a video game. But I mean, I'll say for what it was really cool. I do think artistically, I think it was a little too colorful in a way. I know that kind of sounds bad, but there's big emphasis on a lot of saturation with colors. I think Godzilla vs. Godzilla King of the Monsters did a little bit better in terms of like having these really awesome looking set pieces in terms of visual effects or whatever. But I don't know. Then the human stuff. No, I already talked about the human stuff. The monsters themselves. Okay, let's talk about Godzilla, right? Everyone's going crazy about Pink Godzilla. Oh my god, what is this? I don't care. I think it looks fine. We've seen Godzilla go through so many different incarnations and versions. I think it's really silly that people are getting upset about a color scheme. Like, Shin Godzilla had purple lasers coming out of his back and his tail. I don't think it's far-fetched for Godzilla to have pink dorsal plates. Like, I don't understand why some people are upset about that. It doesn't change anything. Godzilla's still Godzilla. Like, I don't care about that. Godzilla looks cool in this one. I like it. I think he's like a millennium. He's like a Godzilla 2000 look, you know? He has like a purple, pinkish dorsal plates. Kong in this one, obviously this film was a lot about Kong, really. It was more of a Kong film than it was Godzilla, and I went in knowing that, so I wasn't disappointed about that. Really, the thing with Kong is he becomes... I will say he definitely can now say that he is like King Kong now. Not to give too many spoilers, but I would say that he is officially now the King Kong that we've all known. The Power Glove thing was really dumb. The way he got the Power Glove was extremely underwhelming. I won't go further into it, but it was just kind of whatever. It just happens in the film. Like, there's no buildup. It's just like, oh, boom. Okay, he has the Power Glove. Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Suko, the little baby god, or the little Kong. I thought I was not gonna like him, but I actually really enjoyed the little character. I thought I actually really dug little Suko. I thought he was fun. He was cute. He was entertaining. I actually liked that he helped. Like, he actually had a purpose. Like, he actually helped in the film. No, like he did a thing in the film that was like super integral for them to win the battle. I'll leave it at that. In terms of the Scar King guy, Scar King was okay. I would say he's just kind of a weird monster villain. A little too humanoid, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I'm still sort of figuring him out, right? Like, I'm still having to sit with that character. Wasn't as see you later, Nico. No worries, man. Wasn't as bad as I thought he was gonna be, but he was still just kind of like, okay. I mean, he was somewhat intimidating. It felt good when he got his comeuppance, but he was fine. Yeah. And then Shimo, whatever. I feel like a completely underwhelming character. I don't like what the character was. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the relationship between Shimo and Scar King, I didn't really care for. And then what they did with Shimo after, like when the credits rolled, like what Shimo's role is now going to play, was very weird. In terms of design, I mean, yeah, she's okay. It's fine. Whatever, you know. So, now, spoilers. There is a certain character that does appear in this film that I've liked in previous films, but also have not liked in the old Toho films. And I'll let you guys figure that out. But when she came in, it was pretty badass. That's all I'll say. So she was a welcomed addition. I for the first time, actually, she was a welcomed addition. And again, in terms of the fight scenes with Godzilla x Kong, of course it was fun. Of course it was entertaining. I'm not going to sit here and watch this film and be like, no, this is boring. Like, no, it was very fun to watch. It was just a lot. There's a reason why you need human stuff to break up the monster stuff. I know some people think that Godzilla films just need to be monster things, but no, you need to have breaks. You need to have certain things that break the film up before it just gets mind-numbing. I mean, I was exhausted. I've seen the film twice. I saw it with my wife and I saw it with my parents. And both times I was super exhausted when the credits rolled because it was just so much. And also I had a headache both times after the film ended. That's not really a good thing, right? You shouldn't, you'd think like, oh, I had a headache one time. Maybe that was just a fluke or whatever. But I didn't have a headache coming out of -1. So it's like, it just kind of shows the amount of craziness that's going on screen, right? So there was that. It's just, to me, it's just another film in the MonsterVerse, and it just doesn't do anything to enhance or innovate on the series. As far as I'm concerned, they're just going to, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last film in the MonsterVerse. I'm pretty sure they're going to make more, especially because I guess Godzilla vs. Kong is making a lot of money at the box office. But I think that we can't go back to 2014. It's too late. We have gone so far to the other spectrum that 2014 doesn't even feel like it's in the same series. Like, it really doesn't. Like, looking at 2014 in the Monarch series, I'm like, I don't see how these fit in the same universe. It's that crazy of a difference. The last thing I'll say on this whole thing is, regardless of how any of us feel, and I've said this before in posts and all that stuff, regardless of how we feel, I think it has been an amazing time to be a fan of this franchise. You guys, some of you remember, but a lot of you don't. Remember the time between 2004 and 2013. It was a desert. There was nothing going on in the franchise. It was a dead period. It was horrible. There was nothing happening in the franchise other than a few games like Godzilla Unleashed or whatever. But in terms of like big things happening, it was just like nothing. Nothing was going on. I would much rather live in this time where there is stuff going on and very exciting things, even if I don't fully like the certain thing that comes out. But the fact that we're living in this time where there is so much Godzilla content, it's fantastic. And I think the fact that -1 came out and Godzilla x Kong around the same time has been an amazing display of the versatility of Godzilla as a franchise. To see the complete opposites of tones and where this franchise goes. For me personally, I am on the side of the more darker, serious tone. That's just my side. I prefer that side. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to like the more funny stuff. I mean, you guys look at my tier list here. You do see that some of the funny Showa stuff is at S and A rank. It's not like I hate all of the stuff that's goofy. It's just I prefer the more darker, serious stuff. Because that, to me, that's just what Godzilla is. But the fact that we have both these films out and it's what they are is, this is a dream come true as a Godzilla fan, especially coming from that dark age where it was like nothing was happening and we thought Godzilla was a dead franchise. Like if you would have even told me in 2013 that we all of a sudden in 10 years we're going to get all of this, I would have been like, no, you're a nut. You're a lunatic. There's no way Toho's going to do all this. well, here we are with just all this stuff. It's crazy. So the only thing we need now is an actual new Godzilla video game, like a fighting game. But of course, we're gonna, I'm putting my hopes into Save the Earth Melee. So, Zach, if you're listening, it's all on you, man. So, but yeah. So that's my list, guys. That's my tier list. That is my updated modern take on all the films. Again, the bottom is really just a dislike. It's not a hate. Really, City on the Edge of Battle is the only one that I just can't really stand because it just totally floundered everything. But even the films that I don't like or like the least are still fond memories, of my childhood for this franchise. So I'm happy to see, though, that there are a lot of movies in the S tier. I didn't think I loved as many films as I initially thought, but it's nice to see there's actually a good amount. So, but yeah, that's it. So, yeah, you guys can post in the comments once this live stream gets archived. Post in the comments what your tier list would have been. I want to see what you guys think. But yeah, thanks for sticking around the chat. There was a lot of you guys in the comments. I really appreciate it. There was a lot of good conversation. Sorry, I couldn't respond to every comment because I was trying to stay focused on getting this done. But really appreciate you guys. It was very fun to give my opinions on all these films. So now that I've done this, I don't have to review them. I'm done. I'm not going to review these films because I already did it here. So no Godzilla-thon is coming. That's not happening. So, but yeah, that is it, guys. So thank you so much for watching the stream for those of you who were in the comments. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Stay tuned for whatever comes next. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, stay big, G fans.